on this episode of Oh No, Another Chess podcast.
It is true that it's you against one other person, and I think that's how most people view it. But I've noticed that some of my most competitive games that have been the most interesting to me, or like my favorite chess games I've played, feel less like a fight and more like a conversation between me and my opponent. And like there's mutual understanding, and it feels like a form of communication a lot of the time.
Hello and welcome to Oh No, Another Chess podcast. My name is Ono. This week I had a conversation with YouTuber and Twitch streamer Sara Herman. Sara is a chess tournament veteran and had some really interesting things to say about the wordless interactions and shared experiences we have with our opponents at the board, as well as some pretty insightful stuff about her attempts to disconnect her ego and rating, something we all struggle with. Some of the things she said were honestly so quotable I felt like getting them printed out and stuck on a poster. Just some really good, well-articulated points. If you want to continue the conversation with me and Sara, you can join us in a Zoom hangout on Friday, the 17th of November at 1800 UTC. That's 1 week after this podcast comes out. To get the Zoom link, sign up to become a member of my Patreon community. Not only do you get some really cool community perks like the hangouts, but it also helps to support the show. All right, enough preamble. Here is my interview with Sara.
You're listening to Oh No, Another Chess podcast.
Sara, why don't you start by telling me, what do you love most about chess?
Oh boy. That's a tough question. I think that answer changes often, throughout the years. I probably would have given different answers, but if I had to answer right now, I would say I've said this before, but it's sort of like a form of meditation for me. If we're talking over the board chess, I would definitely characterize like online chess as a completely different game. But yeah, over the board chess is nice because you just kind of sit somewhere for 6 hours plus sometimes with nothing to do but think and no interruptions. It's just like, it's kind of an interesting experience.
Yeah, you're not the first person to give that answer, to say that it's like a form of meditation. I think a lot of people feel that way about chess.
Yeah, because you're not being influenced by anything else that you usually are in your life. Like you don't have a phone that's on, you don't have like internet, like no one's talking to you, which is extremely rare nowadays. Like I just feel like there's always something that you have to address.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're maybe like on or connected more than other people because you're making content online?
I mean, I probably should be, but no. I tend to just let my phone die a lot of the time because I feel like there's an excuse to not be on it. I definitely should be more online and connected, but I don't enjoy the feeling very much.
That's really interesting. What do you mean by that? Because I've just started doing this podcast thing, and before that I have my blog on Lichess, and I get quite affected sometimes by some of the weird messages I got as feedback to that, and that made me, like, for a while I'd want to just publish a blog and I'd say to my wife, it's fine, just tell me at the end of the week how many views it got and how well it did. I don't want to know anything else. I don't want to see the numbers. It just stresses me out.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that, or do you ever get like that?
I relate to that a lot. Like especially with when I upload YouTube videos, I'll just turn off my computer as soon as I upload it and like walk away, maybe go outside, because it is very stressful. I don't really get too many weird comments. I mean, more so on Twitch, I get weird comments, but then you just, they probably get banned right away. But no, on YouTube, it's just sometimes it's very hard to tell what will do well and what won't. And, some days I'll upload a video and I'm like, that wasn't a very good video. It's not going to do well. And it gets like 5 times more views than normal. And it just really catches me off guard. And other times I work really, really hard on something and it's like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever made. And it doesn't do very well. But But just sitting around like refreshing the tab over and over again to like see if there's new comments or more, like it's terrible for you.
Yeah, but you do get stuck in that kind of serotonin loop, don't you? Of checking the comments, checking the views.
It's easy to, yes.
Yeah, I definitely struggled with that. Like I say, less so now, but only because I've deliberately put systems in place. And I think you sounds like you're doing the same thing. Just turn it off and don't look.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the reasons I started doing the podcast was because I really like interviewing people, and I'd interview people for the blog, and it would take me about 20 times longer to write an interview piece than it would anything else. I put my heart and soul into it. It took me like a month, hours of work, and then just nobody read it as much as my normal stuff. Just was like got half as many views.
Yeah.
And you're like, why am I putting in all this effort? So this is my effort to circumvent that. I just have to record it. I don't then need to write for hours and hours afterwards.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if it's a passion project, it probably doesn't hurt as much when it doesn't do well, in my experience, like, because you just enjoy doing it, but still doesn't feel good to put effort in, and, you know.
So is chess still very much a passion project for you, or is this your career now?
Interesting. I mean, doing chess lessons and doing Twitch, those are my main sources of income. So I guess you could call it a career, but I don't, it's kind of interesting. I don't even really see it that way. There's just so many aspects of it that are all different parts of my life. So I don't really look at it as a job, because I do very much enjoy playing chess, and I enjoy doing lessons, and I enjoy doing Twitch. I just happen to make money from it. So it's kind of best of both situations. I would say I'm definitely more invested in my own chess lately than I had been in a long time. But I think doing lessons maybe helped with that, because teaching other people can kind of, I don't know, it makes you feel like you actually understand something if you can teach it to someone else. So that's been really helpful to me to start doing that.
That's great. So how long have you, well, you said that kind of got you back into chess. Why don't you maybe tell everyone, what's your chess story? Did you start playing as a kid? Where are you at now?
I started playing when I was a kid, yes. My first rating was in the 400s. I'd like to pull it up just so I'm accurate here. Yeah, my first rating was 467. That was in 2010. So I was 7 or 8 years old. And for a while, I wasn't, like, my brother played chess and he was really into it. So I would go to tournaments with him, because it's just something fun to do with the family. And then I made a friend there, and then it was just about going to see my friend for many years. And I've played in around 500 events,
Wow.
Which I feel like is a lot. Like, a lot of people, I don't know, I basically got better just by playing, which I think is, terrible strategy, because it takes way too much time. But then again, I wasn't trying to get better. I just eventually, over the years, I just started gaining rating points, because if you just do something enough, you'll get better at it. But around the time I was close to hitting 2000, I kind of started to care about the numbers a little bit. And so I started to actually study and try and get better. And eventually I did make it to 2000 because of that. But I think that the way I was studying was really bad, because I was just focused on the numbers and making my rating bigger instead of actually caring about chess. Because I still didn't really care about chess. I think it was just like an ego thing, which I think a lot of people can relate to. But then chess just kind of stopped being fun for me when it was about that. And I got very close to quitting a few times because I just didn't enjoy it. And at some point in the last, I'm not even sure when, there was just some weird turning point where I just stopped caring about my rating. And I started to have fun again, and I started to actually feel like I was learning and putting in effort and studying just because I wanted to, not because of any other reason. I was just curious, and I would study whatever I was curious about.
And had you started with Twitch and YouTube when you felt like that enjoyment was coming back?
Yeah, well, so I started Twitch when I was 15, I think. And it might have been even around that time where I started to not enjoy chess, because maybe that even fed into the ego thing where I felt like I had maybe a bit of imposter syndrome, actually. I felt like I got lots of comments, it's like, oh, you suck. Like, why are you even streaming? And it was like, it's true. Why I do suck. So I felt like at least if I'm over 2000, expert is a superficial title, I guess, but it's something. So I sort of thought that I had to do it. And I think the reason it took me so long to do it was because I just cared about being an expert.
I think you're right. I think a lot of people relate to that. What do you think it is about chess specifically that does that to us? Because, I think chess brings out very strong emotions in us. And you have a YouTube video, the title of which is Chess Can Be Devastating, where you go through a pretty painful loss. And so, I think my most popular blog post to date is called Has Chess Ruined My Life? So, what is it about chess that does this to us, otherwise possibly normal human beings?
Well, I think, it's obviously competitive and less so. Like a lot of sports, it's a team sport, or I guess, there's like a whole nother argument if it's a sport or not, but it's one-on-one, like you're just competing against one other person. And there's a number attached, which a lot of people can attribute their self-worth to after a while. And I think that you can get addicted to the number going up, and it just gets harder and harder and harder to have your number go up. So then it's just like your self-worth is just tied to this thing that's extremely difficult to improve at. And I'm not sure if people who are competitive and maybe have ego problems are drawn to chess, or if it brings it out of people. And it's probably a little of both, because if you're not competitive, chess just wouldn't be fun for you. But I don't know.
That's an interesting take, because I do feel that there's a sort of I don't want to call it like anti-improvers movement, but certainly there is, I've noticed a voice within the so-called adult improver community where they're like, yeah, I don't want to improve. I just want to be an adult enjoyer. And I just want to turn up at the chess club. I don't understand you if that is who you are and you're listening to this, because I like to tie all of my self-worth to my number. But I wish I didn't. But I feel like for me, it's something that's sort of unavoidable. Like chess hurts so much. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to go and improve, or even improve at all, if I didn't have those painful experiences making me try and get better in some way. It's like a motivation in some way.
I think I definitely used to be like that. I think I do understand the adult chess enjoyers a lot more nowadays, because I am in this phase where eventually I realized that I looked at some people that I knew that spent 10, 20 years trying to get to master, in my state. And they did it, but they didn't make them happy. You think this thing will make you happy, and you get it, and you're like, why didn't that make me happy? And it's because in order to get that thing, you have to do things you don't like to do. It's not sustainable. And so you're just putting all this pressure on the result, on just saying I'm a master to make you happy, which will just never happen. And I just didn't want that. And I could see myself going down that path of just wasting my life chasing this thing and being miserable for 10 years and maybe getting it. But then I wasted so much time being unhappy So I started to just sort of embrace whatever level I'm at. That's fine, but I'm going to enjoy chess again. And I just feel like, rating games will come with that if you are putting effort and actually enjoying learning about chess. And chess is actually a really cool thing. I think it's interesting because chess is maybe a lot more egocentric than other games that are similar, like Go or Shogi. I feel like it's definitely a lot more about the person's ego in chess. And then these other games, a lot of the time, it's just more about the game, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
and the beauty of the game. And I'm not sure why that is, but I don't know. It took a lot of effort to get to where I am to enjoy chess, but I think I would much rather just stay at the rating I'm at for the rest of my life and enjoy playing chess than to be, I don't know, like even 2400. I wouldn't, if I hated chess, like I wouldn't, what is the point? I just don't understand the point. Just to say that I'm good. And it's more about other people's feelings towards you as a chess player than your own. Because I am secure in my understanding, and I don't really attach my self-worth to my chess rating anymore.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's hard for me to even explain because it was such a long series of events to lead me to that. So I don't even know where to start. It's very difficult. But yeah, there's really no point in playing chess if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah, I always say that to my students as well. Like, if there's an element of your training that you hate, stop doing it. Because I think it's just like at school. If you don't like something, if you don't like a particular subject, or your teacher's terrible, or there's just some element of resistance and hatred towards it, then don't do it. There's another way to... I always feel like in chess, there's, especially now with all these online tools, whatever it is you're trying to learn and not enjoying it, there's another way to learn that exact same thing that maybe won't feel hard to you or feel like a grind. I actually caught some of your stream yesterday when I was preparing for this interview, and you were doing Puzzle Storm, right?
Yeah.
An incredible speed, very impressive.
Yeah.
And I always I get my students to do like fast tactics on Chessable, but that can feel torturous after a while. You're like, I need to do 20 minutes every day, and you're repeating the same puzzles. And I'm like, well, then stop doing that and do Puzzle Storm for a week and try and beat your high score for a week. And inevitably, like, swapping between those two and maybe a couple of other things brings a bit of joy back, right? Or at least less of the grind out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I even said during that stream something about, because people are always like, Puzzle Storm is not a way to get better at chess, like you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this, this, and this. And it's like, this is, just to be clear, this is not me trying to get better at chess. I'm playing Puzzle Storm because I enjoy Puzzle Storm and it's fun. It's like how I relax. So, yes, there are better things I could be doing, but it's better than doing nothing.
Right. And if you're going to sit down and actually do that because you enjoy it, of course it's better. Yeah, like you say,
because hard work is obviously maybe the most important thing to get better at something, but if there's no passion, it just won't work. You're never going to get to, I don't know, a high level. Like, who do we know who's like elite at whatever it is, like chess, anything else, who just doesn't enjoy what they do? Like, it just doesn't happen. You have to have some enjoyment of it.
That's a great point. Yeah. And circling back to the other aspect of why chess brings out these emotions in us, I think you said something that I've been thinking about for a while that nobody has mentioned before when I bring this up, which is that it's an individual sport, right? Well, sport, if you can call it a sport, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at, like, I know like Andy Murray is a tennis player I grew up watching, mostly because he's Scottish, and but he is really into boxing, and I think there's a lot of this like attraction when you're in a sort of individual pursuit to look at other individual sports, because there is so much crossover in terms of the psychology more than anything else. Boxing and tennis, I think, are pretty similar. I think tennis and chess are pretty similar. just in the way that it's you against an individual opponent, and you're just solely responsible. You're carrying everything on your shoulders. There's no teammates. There's no, there's no luck either. I think. I mean, I would argue that maybe sometimes there's a little bit of an element of luck in chess, but generally it is solely your responsibility. Every decision you make is yours, and
that's a good point. And it is true that it's you against one other person, and I think that's how most people view it. But I've noticed that some of my most competitive games that have been the most interesting to me, or like my favorite chess games I've played, feel less like a fight and more like a conversation between me and my opponent. And like there's mutual understanding, and it feels like a form of communication a lot of the time. Because it's, I don't know, the pieces interact with each other in a way that influences the position overall. And it's not just like, I have my pieces on my side of the board, you have your pieces, and we're just throwing punches. It's more like going on a long walk with another person and having a conversation that no one else is a part of. And you can never really have someone else experience what that long walk was like, except for your opponent. I mean, you can do a post-mortem and you can explain to people what you were thinking, but you and your opponent are the only ones who experienced it.
That is absolutely beautiful and so relatable. I really love the way you put that. Very eloquent. I think
Sure.
I am someone who has played, I was like a Queen's Gambit convert and lived in the middle of nowhere and played online forever. And so I'm really just starting to get into over the board chess now. I'm getting to go to a chess club every week and play an over the board game. And I've never felt that idea that it was a communication. I felt more satisfaction, this sense that winning felt more meaningful in a game that wasn't just like, tactical knockout, and there was more interesting, nuanced things going on. Yeah. But I've never felt that sense that you're sitting down with your opponent and occasionally you'll look at each other. You maybe even smile at each other in certain situations where you're both like, wow, we both know what's going on here, but we're all, it's just, I just love that. And as you say, there is nobody who can experience the game like you and your opponent, right? You can explain it as much as you want, but there's so much depth to it that they will just never understand because you didn't play that game. You didn't sit with me and my thoughts. And I also feel like there's almost like a story to each game as well.
Absolutely. It's like I'm thinking of a specific game, but you can tell if your opponent has thought about what you have thought about based on how long they're thinking after every move. You can tell what variations they went down, like based on the amount of time they spend, what move they choose to play. And it's almost like there's like, if there's an obvious idea, but somehow it doesn't work and I had to spend 20 minutes deciding if it didn't work, obviously, you can tell if your opponent was looking at that same line if they think for 20 minutes as well and then play something else. So it's kind of cool because you can't just believe your opponent. You have to hear what they have to say about the positions. Like, okay, I mean, clearly there's something else here. Let me see what my opponent thought. And you either agree with them or you don't. And then, time will tell who was right. But in body language shifts as well, like you can tell their mood. I mean, some people are, better at hiding that than others, but I'm definitely not.
Do you feel like there is value in hiding your emotions at the board?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, or maybe not even hiding, but just acting confident no matter what, I think is incredibly valuable. Because if you're just sitting at the board, kind of hunched over the whole time, and your opponent's standing up the whole time, over you, even if, that doesn't reflect the position, even if you're the one maybe on the offense, it can still make you feel a certain way, subconsciously maybe, that someone's towering over you, and make your decisions a little bit more influenced by human emotions that have nothing to do with the game. But I do think it's important to, stand up every once in a while and walk around like drink water. Don't forget to take care of your human needs so that your human emotions don't influence how you play.
Yeah, well said. That is actually one thing I never, because I did a podcast, like a solo episode on my like tips or things I thought were really strange and different about going from online to offline chess. But one thing I didn't mention was I cannot sit still when I'm playing chess online. Like when I was playing in the Lone Wolf League or whatever I was doing, anytime it felt like the game mattered to me, I would hardly ever sit down. I just be like pacing all the time or like standing holding the back of my chair. And you just cannot do that as much over the board because, you're a poor opponent. But I do like to get up and walk around a lot. And yeah, it's, I don't know, that's just another thing that's been different for me.
Yeah,
Also, the number of times I have to go to the toilet, like particularly now with all the cheating stuff's going on, I'm like, this guy's going to think I'm cheating. This is a ridiculous number of pees I have taken during this game. I'm just so nervous.
Yeah. Well, also, you're also probably drinking more water when you're playing chess because you're nervous and you're moving around. Your leg might be shaking, and you're almost in like fight or flight mode. So of course you're going to be more on edge and drinking more water. It's true.
Taking the conversation away from the toilet and back to the board again. I do completely agree with you. Like just that, I was trying to squeeze blood out of a stone in my last over the board game, and this same colored bishop end game where my opponent had 2 isolated pawns, but I just made him suffer unnecessarily probably for about 40 moves as I tried to configure my pieces in a way where I could win one of these pawns, and it just wasn't happening. But the tension and like the communication between us at the board was just, he was nodding. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, I see your This is it's a good idea, but it's like this weird."
That's my favorite thing when I actually get some sort of verbal response from my opponent. Like a game comes to mind. I was playing Brian Wall, and I don't know if some people probably know him. He's kind of like known in the US.
All the characters from your vlogs, right?
Yes. But I like sacrificed a piece or something, and at first he was not believing it. You could just sort of tell by his body language. But the longer he thought, the more uncomfortable you could see him getting, and eventually he said like, I don't know if he said anything or if he just grunted, but it's just funny because you can hear like the acceptance in their voice. Like he just grunts and like takes the piece, but you can tell he's like pretty upset about it. But he's like, he can tell that it was a sound sacrifice. Like that's a good feeling.
This wasn't your knight takes d5 positional sacrifice, was it?
No.
Okay.
That was a good one though.
That was the coolest move I have ever seen, I will say.
Really?
And the way you explained it in your analysis as well was so instructive. Like you're clearly a very good teacher. It was one of the coolest ways I've seen someone explain the concept of, piece activity. And it got me really excited about that as well. And I went away and like ended up studying it for, a month after that.
That's great. That makes me feel really good. I was proud of that game. It's not like I was playing anyone, of any like significance rating wise. Like they were a little bit lower rated than me, but it's still just completely outplaying someone is a really, really nice feeling, especially when there's a piece sacrifice that's not even about attacking the king. Like it had nothing to do with the king really. But that was a great game. I'm glad you got something out of it.
Yeah, a lot. Like I went down a whole, I thought it wasn't so much I went away and studied. I just went and thought more and more about what you were saying, because it was a really interesting way. So you explained that someone else had explained this to you as just not, I don't even know if this is how you explained it or if this is where I went with it. So please feel free to correct me. And if people who are listening want to see this game and Sarah's excellent analysis, then I will put a link to that video in the show notes. But just the idea that you don't, like, for example, let's say I'm just centralizing my king in an endgame, and it can go on, it can go to f8 or f7, and the difference just seems insignificant. but maybe I have one piece that can use the f7 square. So I'll just put the king on f8 because I'm just giving one piece, one extra square of activity, and you don't really know how that's going to influence it. So that was like one way I went with it from your explanation, but it definitely changed the way I thought about chess. And
no, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that you're talking a little bit about just staying flexible, which is one of, I don't know, a very overlooked concept, especially in like just opening understanding. And move orders, and people, when they do a chess book and they struggle to remember the move order because it all seems the same. Usually the best thing you can do is stay flexible and keep your options open and play the move that you have to play regardless first before you decide where to put your other stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in the opening, that's super important. And then I also think that applies in endgames sometimes where you're like, well, I'm going to put my king here, my knight here, my pawns here, and the order in which you do it in feels insignificant somehow. But yeah, that can be a great way to make the most flexible decision.
Yeah, in endgames, like usually the first thing you do if you don't know what to do is put your king in the center. That's pretty general, so I wouldn't just follow that blindly. But because there's so many other things going on in endgames. But
yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's the problem with chess, is anything you learn or teach someone, you're like, and there are, of course, exceptions.
Of course, there's exceptions to everything.
Yeah, that's the horrible thing about chess, is if only it could be broken down into a series of general rules. And
it just can't.
Yeah. And that makes it, I think, extremely confusing for people who come into the game.
Yeah, because you teach them a concept and they're like, I just did exactly what you said. I was like, yeah, but this is different. There's like two other things that were in this position that were not in the other one. So, yeah, but I didn't tell them that, but also I can't account for every single possibility when it comes to a concept.
Yeah. I don't know, like what sort of level you're teaching at, but I think my students get particularly frustrated by this. They're like, yeah, but in the opening, all they did was push pawns. And you're like, well, unfortunately, that does not guarantee you victory, right? I think there's a certain feeling in the start. It's like, but if they break an essential, chess principle, whether that's an opening principle or anything else, they're like, now I must win on the next move.
Yes, it's true. Like people are like, oh, if the London is bad, then why I need to forcefully beat it? Like there should be a way to refute it. It's like, no, it's not optimal. And they're just causing little problems for themselves. Long term, it's hard to keep dealing with all the problems they're giving themselves. And eventually they can maybe break down and not play perfectly to account for the weird things that they're doing. Or like Stonewall or something, but like you can't, there's almost nothing you can just force a win against. Because if you could, it would not be played ever. So,
yeah. And I think people find that frustrating. It's like, well, you just need to keep playing good moves and eventually these small things will accumulate.
They add up, which is why I think it's so important to have endgame knowledge, because a lot of people are afraid to even go into an endgame because it's the unknown, and they think, oh, if I go into an endgame, it's a draw, which is just not true. I think at some point you said, if you hate studying something, like stop doing it and study something, that you enjoy. And that's true. But there's also, if there's something in chess you hate and you're so uncomfortable with that you avoid it at all costs, that's probably what you should be spending the most time on, because I think a good way to put it would be, we hate what we're afraid of and we fear what we don't understand. So understanding the concept will automatically make you less afraid of it and hate it less. And then all of a sudden, this part of the game that you're avoiding will be your favorite part of the game if you just spend time doing it.
Yeah. Really,
and then something else will become your least favorite part, and then you work on that.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant way to put it. I think, I'd be interested to hear maybe you can just tell me, what is your least favorite part of chess right now?
Right now, it's the opening, because I don't have any openings, but that's what I'm working on now. I finally decided to actually learn an opening, because what I had been doing for the last years, I'm just playing kind of random openings and just learning different structures, which I think is great. but you can't. Long term, it's bad to not have a main opening that you know well if you're actually trying to gain rating points, which I know I said I don't care about, but I also want to stop losing rating points. Even though I think that I've learned a lot more in the last year than I have in the rest of my chess life. Because just exposing yourself to different structures broadens your understanding of the game, and it'll make you, like, if you're in a phase where you're only doing openings on chessable, it's the main thing you're doing. I think you think that it's way more important than it really is, and you become like very afraid of getting a position that you haven't seen before. And so you just study your openings as hard as you can. So I'll never have a position that I haven't seen before. But that right there is a problem, because if you're incapable of just understanding a position you haven't seen because you only understand one structure, the thing you should do is learn more structures so you won't be afraid of it anymore. So that's what I was doing the last year. And now I'm at a point where I don't know. Like, I get bad positions out of the opening all the time, but my results are almost better a lot of the times because my opponents don't know the positions either because I'm not playing theory. And so I'm able to outplay people just purely based on the fact that I understand the position better than them, even if it's a bad position for me, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, it works well against people who just study openings hardcore, but then as soon as they're out of their opening, they have no idea what to do. And then they think they have to win out of the opening every single game.
Yeah, I think studying openings is the fastest way to make your rating go up and the slowest way to get better at chess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I tell my students. It's an artificial way to boost your rating temporarily. And I think, a lot of coaches might just like suggest certain openings that, like systems, for example, you just kind of put your pieces. Basically, they're just teaching you to develop in castle, but your understanding of chess is not getting any better because you're not challenging yourself at all. You just put your pieces in the same squares no matter what your opponent does and get like an okay position, but never a great one.
Yeah, that's actually... Yeah, that's it's so true. That's it won't be my next blog post, but the one after that is tentatively titled "System Thinking." Yeah, because and it's not even that deep. It's more that some students are playing the London system with their eyes closed and missing really obvious tactics that they are not missing at any other stage in the game because they're on autopilot.
They turn their brain off and that's exactly right.
Yeah. So I really wanted to talk about chess tournaments because I didn't actually realize you'd played over 500 chess tournaments, but I do now. So clearly a tournament veteran. Your vlogs are an amazing introduction for anyone who is looking to play in a chess tournament. I think you do a great job of capturing, at least in the US, maybe what the feel or the vibe of a chess tournament is. And I encourage anyone to go and check out those vlogs. They're very funny and just really entertaining. So why don't you tell us a bit about chess tournaments? How do you choose the tournaments you play in to start with?
When I lived in Colorado, there was no choosing. There's a tournament this weekend. You either play in it or you don't get to play chess for months. So kind of just like whenever there was anything to play in, I played in it, and that was what I did for almost 10 years. Chess tournaments were always what I looked forward to the most as a kid. Like at school, I would just be like, oh, I want to, today is Wednesday, there's a chess club meeting, or like this weekend there's a chess tournament. And like, I just didn't really care about anything else. I just was always looking forward to the next chess tournament. And it wasn't even necessarily because I wanted to play chess so bad at that point. I just really enjoyed the social aspect of it. Because I had a lot of friends that I made there, and it's sort of I don't know. it's also easier to make friends at chess tournaments, I think, because there's already a common interest and there's always something to talk about with your opponent. Like, you can always feel that there's a lot of tension before you start the game. And it's like, oh, like, you know, you can even have this attitude of like, I hate this guy, I'm going to kill this guy. Like, you know, just like pure disdain for the person sitting across from you. And then as soon as the game ends, you're like their best friend. And you're just like, let's go look at the game. Like, that was so much fun. Maybe not so much if you lost in a way that was upsetting. But if you can feel that way even after a loss, I mean, it's a really, really good thing. But then it's just so natural to talk to someone after you've played a game of chess with them. It goes back to the communication thing, I suppose. But yeah, it was just always my favorite. I don't know, my favorite thing to do, because I'm not even sure. Like, of course, I enjoyed playing chess and I enjoyed winning, but I not enough to actually study ever. So.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for, but
yeah, I mean, maybe you could describe a little bit more about the tournament experience, like particularly for someone who hasn't attended a tournament yet.
I mean, in the US, typically there's, you know, semi-regular weekend events in your state, probably run by, you know, your state probably has some sort of chess association that's in charge of running most events. But in the US, unfortunately, there are hardly ever any FIDE events. And what you're going to get is probably 3 games of game 90, maybe with a 30-second increment, if you're lucky, on Saturday, and then 2 games on Sunday.
That is brutal.
It is. I mean, it's on one hand, it's like, oh, the increment, nice. Like, I get an increment, but also the games are even longer. So you could have like a 12-hour day and then have to wake up at like 8 a.m. or at like 7 a.m. for an 8 a.m. round the next day. So a lot of people take buys in the 3rd round just to get some sleep. But typically there's an under section, maybe 1 or even 2 that you can play in. If you're not comfortable playing the open, or maybe it's an over section, but they'll put you with people around your strength, and there's going to be individual prizes for each under section usually. And it's just a good way to get started, is to play in an under section, I think. But maybe you learn a lot more when you play up. That was my strategy for the 10 years that I played in 500 chess tournaments.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm interested in hearing about. So you feel like is it just the playing of the game against someone who is stronger than you, or is it the analysis and what they're able to teach you maybe after the game?
I just think that it's a lot more beneficial to get beat, you know, as much as you can take from people who are better than you, than to just play people who you're beating constantly. Like, that's not very helpful. But if you're losing every single game, it's maybe eventually you'll get sick of it and quit, but also maybe you'll just start to figure out like why it's happening, and you'll notice patterns like, oh, I lost this game because of this, and I also lost this game from the same reason. And then you just keep fixing it until eventually, you know, it's not an efficient way to do it, but it's how I did it. So I don't know if I would recommend it to everyone. I don't know. It's tough because there's no best way to get better at chess.
Yeah, if only there was an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm super curious, and so I'd actually love to get your advice on this then, because I have a choice of chess clubs in my new city now, and one of them is actually, I think they're the only non-professional team in the European Club Cup. It's a really strong club. I think the average player is rated around 2,000. I have played 3 rounds now. I have 2 draws and a loss, but the lowest rated player I've played is 1950 something FIDE. So that's pretty much going to be it for the entire season. Like everyone I'm playing is going to be, a lowest rated, maybe 1800. So I don't know whether to go there, and I'm probably going to have a negative score there. At least I think so. I have no idea still what my actual over the board strength is because I've never played at that time control yet. But obviously 3 games is not really enough to put any stock in my rating. But there's another club where everyone's rated sort of, they're like average club player. I think maybe the strongest player there is maybe like the stronger players there are experts. But everyone's sort of around 15, 1600. The bulk of people are sort of intermediate club level players. And there's a much more social atmosphere there. I'll say it's a little bit less serious. What are your thoughts?
I mean, if it were up to me, I would take the higher rated place any time. I mean, if there's an opportunity, because for me, it's a rare opportunity to play with where there's so many strong players, but maybe it's not the case for you. The thing is, I think it's an important skill to be able to play against both. Like if you are able to hang with people who are higher rated than you, I think it's true that you sort of match the playing level of the person you're playing with sometimes. I think it's a lot easier to play well against someone who's really good than it is against someone who's really bad, because you're just on guard the whole time. And I think it's a lot easier to blunder against someone who's weaker. But at the same time, if you're good at that, but you don't know how to beat people who are your rating and lower, that there's a big problem there because you can't avoid playing them forever. Which is something I learned the hard way because, like I said, I played up in every single thing I could forever. And then whenever I'd have to play someone lower rated, it was like a real struggle. And I wouldn't score well against people who were lower rated than me, even though I would score well against people who were higher. So, my answer is, if it's a rare opportunity to play the strong players, do that. But if you've been doing that for a long time and you're sick of losing, or not even that, if you just feel like you need to build your technique in beating weaker players, I would do that.
Well, I don't like that answer, Sarah. I love that answer, but it's very confronting for me, actually, because I think I know, and I actually thought this was a universal thing with all chess players, but I recently found out from speaking to a few other people that it's not. I hate playing lower rated players. I find it way harder than playing higher rated players. So I'm definitely drawn to playing in the higher rated club, and I can tell myself, oh yeah, because, stronger competition. Plus, there's a lot of really strong players, masters, that I can just speak to after the game. Be like, hey, what would you have done here?
Yeah.
And that's nice to have that resource. But yeah, there's maybe an element of kind of what you were saying earlier, where there's an element of chess that you don't like studying if you know you're not so good at it. I think there's definitely a psychological element to chess that I'm not so good at, which is playing lower rated players. I hate it. Mm-hmm. I get way more nervous. Yeah. And I think it comes down to the ego thing as well.
It sounds like that's probably what you should do then.
I can actually play at both, so I don't really know why I'm feeling like I need to make a decision. I can go to both. They're on different nights of the week, as long as my wife doesn't mind me just disappearing for, 2 evenings a week. Fine.
Right. Yeah. I would go to both if you asked me, but,
And you have your vlogs, of course. What inspired you to start making the vlogs of the tournaments?
Honestly, I just sort of consume that type of content on YouTube, and I was already making analysis videos and recaps of my games from tournaments, and people seemed to really like those, especially when I gave a bunch of context about what was happening. And eventually I started streaming my over-the-board games. Like I would have a camera on my game and a DGT board and people doing commentary. And basically the only thing I had to do was just fill in the gaps, like film a few things in between rounds, and a vlog was already done. So I was like, why not just try it? Why not just go for it? I think it was really scary because very annoying concept is that in order to get good at something, you have to be really bad at it first. And that's a terrifying concept to me. But I kind of just force myself to, like, if I suck at this, like, I'm never going to be good at making vlogs if I have to be bad at it first. So I just sort of went for it and decided to just do it because it was something I really wanted to do. And if people don't like it, that's fine. Like, at least I tried. And I think I've gotten a lot better at it since then. And they're like my favorite things to make. The last one I made was definitely, I don't know, it's like my most prized accomplishment. It's like 45 minutes long, but still. And I don't know. Like, I'm really glad that I didn't just not do it because I was afraid of being bad at it.
Yeah, me too, because they're great. And as you say, they're long as well, but they're like little movies. Like, you create a really good narrative around them, and it's easy to kind of get sucked into the whole story of the tournament. I love it. They're great.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know. Because there's that fear of being cringe, as they say. And it's one of those things that, like, if you don't do it well, like, it could be like really hard to watch. So I just really tried to commit to it, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoy them.
Yeah, absolutely. They're so good. Yeah, it's clear from the vlogs that you have a really great sense of humor as well. You make me laugh in almost every video of yours that I watch. Do you think that having a good sense of possibly self-deprecating humor is important as a chess player?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to make fun of yourself and acknowledge your mistakes, and in a way that's not just devastating to you and your idea of yourself. Like, it's okay to make blunders and make mistakes and have really, really dumb thoughts as long as you learn from them. It doesn't help to just beat yourself up about it constantly, which was my method of, several years ago. But just laughing about it is, I think, a much better way to go.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and yeah, I don't know. There's one thing you said in one of the analysis of your video that just hit me so hard because I found it so relatable, which is I feel very confident as a chess coach, and, my students give me nice feedback, and, not to like self-promote or anything like that. It just saying like that is my experience when I am a coach. But when I am sitting at the board and I play a bad game or a bad move, I just start to question my entire viability as a creator, as a coach. And there was one thing you said in one of your videos where you're like, I have the worst light squared bishop in the history of the universe. And it's just like, and you were talking about all those emotions like going through.
Yeah.
You. I found that very, very relatable. I thought
I think I remember I said my student was watching, and I was afraid that my student would drop me, my chess coach would drop me, and that my whole life was going to fall apart because my bishop was so bad. And that's really how it feels. And it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but you can't say it out loud when you're playing.
No, of course. But yeah, it's I thought that was very funny because I definitely felt that way myself. Like, I hope no one ever sees this game. They can't find it.
Yeah, and that's true, but it's so empowering, like, having a really, really terrible game and then just like showing everyone. And being like, yeah, like, look how stupid this was. Don't do this. People definitely appreciate when you share your losses and your really, really low moments, and not just show your best moments. So that was really, really hard for me to do, but it's another thing that's, it's only improved my life and maybe the integrity of my analysis, because I am not afraid to show when I do something really bad.
Yeah, that definitely comes across. I think your vlogs are definitely very honest, and I know that you just show all of your games, not just the good ones, for sure. Yeah, I should write a book like my most spectacular blunders or something, just to get it out of my system.
No, that's a great idea. I think, I don't know if you know Chess Doofus, National Master Dennis Norman. He made a lead chess study, and he also made like videos following up on it. of just like every blunder he's ever made and an explanation. And it's some of the best content, I think, chess content that's ever been produced. Because I can't believe he kept every single one, but he made a compilation of all his worst blunders.
That's great. And there is literally no other way to improve. If you can't look in the face of your own worst moves and try and understand, because I think that's the unifying thing that you're speaking to. Like, everyone loves it when you share this because nobody is immune to this. And it's almost funny because we know the mistakes we make are mistakes almost immediately after we play them. And if not immediately, then, it's clear to us in analysis that was terrible. So it's not really about what you did, it's more about why you did it. And if you're not able to stare those mistakes in the face and understand why, what were you thinking? Not what were you thinking, you idiot? Like, what were you actually thinking?
Yeah, what made me come to this conclusion that this would be a good thing to do?
Right.
And what would make me come to a different conclusion? Like, what would be a different way to think about this?
Sarah, do you have any general advice for adult improvers trying to get better at chess?
Instead of trying to make it about you and improving and making your number bigger and getting better at something and getting better than other people, you should just be trying to understand chess more. And that's the only thing you can really do. And by understand, I mean just how it works, like how the pieces all connect with each other. It's I think it's almost a form of art if you really look at it that way. And yes, it's competitive, but I don't think that it should really be so competitive. I think it should be something that can be enjoyed and admired for what it is, rather than just making it about who can beat people and who you're better than, improving yourself. Like, I don't think that's really fulfilling or fun for anyone in the long term. I think I noticed that people, I would look around and I would, like, this person's really good at chess and they hate it. This person is like okay at chess and they love it. Who would I rather beat? And so I started talking to these people who just really enjoyed chess, even though they weren't really, maybe necessarily as great, but like, they just enjoyed chess and they just enjoyed learning things. And I just think that's a better way to be. And these players were not weak, obviously, but they didn't quit chess when they hit 2200. They would keep going. So I don't know if any of that was coherent or not, or if I just rambled. But
no, I think like a lot of the things you've said in this episode was very well put, and I think people will take a lot from it. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Sarah, before we wrap up? Anything that you have coming out in the future? Anything you want to promote?
Well, I would like to, whatever my next chess vlog is going to be, I have to plan a tournament. But right now, if you go watch that video, my newest vlog of the Denver Open, that would make me pretty happy, because there's also analysis videos that are going to come out on my games from that tournament. I know it's been taking me a while to get to them, but I want to actually, analyze them correctly before I try and talk about them. But yeah, just subscribing to my YouTube channel and following me on Twitch would mean a lot. And I also do chess lessons if that's something you're interested in. I mainly focus on like end games and, that type of thing. But obviously, whatever's best for the student.
Yeah, and I think people can get an idea of your teaching style from looking at some of your analysis videos and your other videos on YouTube. On YouTube, you are, Sara Herman, but also at Zefcat, ZEFCATT, for anyone trying to find you there. And on Twitch, you're, Zefcat there as well, right?
Yeah, with 2 T's.
Sure.
My lead chess username came first, so.
And if people want to reach out to you for coaching, where can they find you?
You can email me. It's sarah.herman.chess@gmail.com, or you can contact me on Discord, or maybe even on Twitch if you don't have either of those things.
Great. All right. Well, thanks so much, Sara, for coming and talking to me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was fun.
It was an absolute pleasure. I think people will take a lot from this one.
Well, I'm glad.
Hi, it's Yara here. For those of you new to Oh No, Another Chess podcast, I'm Ono's wife, and I'm also the other half of the Ono Zone. So first of all, thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope you really enjoyed this interview with Sara Herman. You can actually chat with her live in the next Zoom hangout that Ono will be hosting on Friday, November 17th. Ono will be there as well, plus a bunch of other adult improvers. So it'll be lots of fun, and you can sign up for free if you go to patreon.com/theonozone and sign up for the 7-day trial. Then you'll get the Zoom link. If you're an adult improver and you just like an extra pair of eyes on your chess, or if you have any specific questions, or if you're stuck, you can book a free trial lesson with Ono on theonozone.com. Ono's a chess coach specialized in adult improvers, and the first 60-minute chess lesson with him is absolutely free. And he prepares it based on your recent games, so it's all personalized to look at the things that are keeping you stuck specifically and how to overcome those personal improvement obstacles. So definitely check out the show notes for all of that. You can find all the info and links for stuff that was mentioned in the episode there, including the link to sign up for the free Zoom hangout on Friday, the 17th of November with Sara Herman. So thanks again for listening. Hope to see you there. And Ono will be back with another episode of Oh No, Another Chess podcast in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, I wish you all the chess.